Hello there, welcome to episode 90 of Nevermind the Bullens. It's your bite-sized Everton podcast and vodcast. I'm Mike Peters. Starting this episode with some sad news which was broken this morning as I record this, with the passing of Gordon Lee, former Everton manager at the age of 87. Very much in the sort of the mould of what might have been. Created, a really good team in the late 70s, 77, 78 that reached the League Cup final. Our first League Cup final appearance, of course, which went to 2 replays against Aston Villa, ultimately to be defeated. And then, a team that finished in the top 4 in 77 and 78, brought the likes of Graham Sharp and to the club, and allowed Kevin Ratcliffe to make his debut and sort of put a couple of the cornerstones of what was to follow in the following decade in place. But very sad to hear of his passing. Before my time as an Everton fan, but obviously I've seen the videos, as have many of us of my age and younger, and certainly fondly remembered by those older Evertonians, and played some wonderful football in that team with the likes of Bob Latchford and Mick Lyons and Terry Darracott and their ilk, Martin Dobson, Duncan McKenzie, etc. Some really terrific players following on from Billy Bingham's era, another era of what might have been for Everton. This era, moving to now, is what could be, and it could be catastrophic based on the showing at Tottenham last night. I've had messages from friends over the last sort of 48 hours about Everton's current malaise and absolutely woeful form. And I said to them, they said, well, in relegation battle, I said, well, you're looking at the league table and you're going, right, all the results this weekend have gone against us pretty much, with the exception of Watford and actually Leeds as well, to be fair. But the likes of Brentford winning at Norwich, Newcastle continuing their upturn in form. And I said to somebody, I'm concerned, but I'm not panicking. Based on the evidence of Monday night at White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, that and the concern has now turned to full-blown panic, because a friend of mine said to me, and I sort of dismissed it, what he said, poo-pooed it a little bit, and he said, I can only see Everton getting 9 points between now and May. And I looked at it and I said, no, I'm not much of a pessimist, but he might well be right on the evidence of last night. If we perform like that, we'll be lucky to get 9 points between now and the end of the season. Because we've got 13 games left, and you're looking, going, where are the wins going to come from? Because they're not going to come on the road, because that was the absolute nadir of away performances. This is a team that went last season win 13 games away from home. Now, admittedly, that's under COVID, and that there's a huge asterisk attached to that, because obviously no fans in the ground, and therefore it's a completely different animal to be going to teams and winning there. We won at Tottenham last season on the opening weekend of the season, won by 1-0, and last night it was just absolutely horrifying. The lack of defensive shape was absolutely terrifying. If it's that easy for teams to get at us, bypassing when we were playing 4-2-3-1, so we played 2, and I use the word defensive midfielders loosely, because Donny van der Beek isn't a defensive midfielder in that sort of guys like Allen or a Claude Makelele or a whatever sort of type that you want to describe, or a Nemanja Matic or what have you. He's not that type of player, but the lack of protection for a back four that is vulnerable and desperately short of bodies at the minute, and Michael Keane embodies that, because apparently it might go some way to explain in his performance, and I do use the term some way as a caveat to explain his performance, that he wasn't well and he offered to play despite the fact that he clearly wasn't up to it last night, to try and help the team out, because we're so short of bodies, because no Yerry Mina, no Ben Godfrey, and only Jared Branthwaite on the bench. But I would have argued that Branthwaite might have been a better bet in that circumstance. And certainly was more vocal when he came on last night, as opposed to Michael Keane, who had just an absolutely torrid first half, following on from the City game with the complete wrong-footedness, and just looks a player that we spent £25 million on. He's been with us for 5 years, and he's gone backwards. I've said it a number of times in this podcast. I just think it's time with him to cut our losses and move him on, because I just don't see how he is part of the club progressing, because we're clearly not progressing. But that last night sort of sums up a 12 to 14, 15 months of just wretched form. And, we look back and think back to the end of last season, where our home form was appalling. And, you know, it culminated in that 5-0 drubbing at Man City on the last day. And you thought, you know, OK, right, yeah, we've lost to the champions. Team hadn't turned up. They were on their holidays and had been for a couple of weeks prior to that. The defeat against Sheffield United, etc., that type of thing. And that's really continued, other than the sort of the initial bump that we got back in August and September and October, up to the international break, which ended up in that 1-1 draw at Manchester United, where we were sitting 4th or 5th. And it's just gone, we just nosedived since then. Like something, you know, one of those comedy videos that you see of those things that come off the end of a pier and just, you know, supposedly vehicles that will fly and just crash straight into the water beneath them. And Everton are doing that now. I genuinely haven't been as worried for us since Easter of 1999, and I think we lost at home to Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought we are going to get relegated here, Walter Smith's first season. And then Kevin Campbell came in and propelled us back up the table, scoring hatfuls of goals, and we ended up getting out of it and finishing fairly comfortably in the end. But you're just looking at it and going, where is the confidence? Where is the belief? We're gonna have to get 6 wins from our remaining home games, and you're just thinking, is that going to happen? We've still got the likes of Chelsea to play. Obviously, you know, we've got Manchester United to play. I mean, they're obviously in a pretty poor state as well, but obviously operating at a different end of the league. And it's really concerning, desperately concerning now. And we really need a colossal reaction at the weekend against Wolves on Sunday, and then that game against Newcastle next week is now a must-win. Both of those now are must-win to try and get ourselves away, because Leicester have picked up form as well. They've won their last couple of games against teams around us, Leeds and Burnley. And you're just looking at it going, it was absolutely horrifying what we were watching. And the fact that Everton did as Manchester United did on Sunday, really, and threw in the towel, was as soon as they went 2 down with a mistake by Jordan Pickford, that was a bad birthday present for him. But there was just you just knew that we weren't going to get back into the game. And frankly, we were lucky to keep it to 5-0. I thought it could have been a cricket score. I mean, 5-0 is bad enough, but it could have been 7 or 8 or even more. Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin just didn't get in the game at all. They didn't get a touch. And the thing was, we'd actually started the first 10 minutes fairly brightly, but we were cut open so easily that you're just thinking to yourself, right, this is just, if we're that easy to play, it's such a soft underbelly when we haven't even got an underbelly. You know, it's so easy for teams to get round us, and there's such vast chasms and open spaces, and the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the pitch for them to go through, that it was just ridiculous, really. So, I mean, I'm sure that Frank Lampard is aware of the fairly Herculean task he's taken on, but I wonder, even he has gone, goodness me, how big is this, and taken the stock and gone, whoa, this is really, really bad. Jamie Carragher described it apparently on Sky Sports as a championship back four. I didn't see him describe it as that. I switched off the moment the final whistle went, as I watched the second half in the car on my iPad. I watched the first half in the pub. I wish I'd stayed in the pub. Would have at least been able to drown my sorrows and dull the pain of it. But he's right, because Mason Holgate is flattered to deceive for a while. I said that. John Joe Kenny, it was the best of the back four last night, and he's a player that I described in a recent episode, just a Sunday pub footballer. He has been better the last few games. I will absolutely concede that, and I'm happy to be proved wrong. But Seamus Coleman's vulnerabilities were exposed again. Michael Keane's vulnerabilities were exposed again. Yes, there's mitigation if he was ill, but still, in that case, executive decision should have been made. I admire he's desperately trying to play for the team. I do. I respect that. We've had players before that haven't done that. But if he's clearly not so ill that he's not up to it, then he shouldn't have been put in that position. And who knows whether we'd have got anything out of the game or not remains to be seen. But we have to try and find some solidity over the next couple of games and stop ourselves conceding goals, because straight away we were 2 down in 20 minutes or what have you, and the game is done. You've got a Herculean task ahead of you to try and overcome that. So you have to make sure that we are solid and defending, and making sure that we are giving ourselves a base to work from to enable ourselves to try and win matches later on. So there's huge concern, because you're just thinking, right, our free fall has been going for as I said, for 15 months, and you're thinking, where does that free fall stop? And my concern is it will be the Championship, and then we are going to be in a colossal mess. There'll be players left, right and centre that will want to go, and are we going to be able to get the players in that we need to get back up? So the players themselves, we've said this so many times down the years, the fact that players have just stopped playing for managers and just have gone hiding. It's how many times can we allow it to happen before the penny drops with them and they react? It's not the Seamus Colemans of this world who we know love the club and is always committed and all the rest of it, but there are too many other players in there that go hiding. When the going gets tough, they get going. And the problem is we can't get them going out of the club because we've got to work with what we've got until the end of the season. And there is quality in the squad. The problem is there's a lack of fight and a lack of desire. There's a piece that Phil McNulty wrote for the BBC Sport website, which I think encapsulates it, and he didn't use the word lightly, but I will. Gutless, because that is an accurate description of how Everton have been, certainly since October. And certainly, particularly in away games, they have to try and work so hard to try and generate, even if we can only get 3 draws or a win and a couple of draws between now and the end of the season, those 5 points from the remaining away games that we have could be the difference between us staying in the division and losing that top flight status and regressing so dramatically that we could end up going into Bramley Moor in the Championship at best. So there's a huge amount of soul searching that needs to be done over the next 4 or 5 days between now and the game on Sunday at Wolves. I know everybody will be behind us at Goodison on Sunday, and we have to be the 12th man as the supporters because, in fact, I thought, you know, to an extent we have to be the 11th man because at times we're playing like we've only got 10 men or less. So we have to make up the difference as fans. But it can't always be on us. The players have to go out and perform. And at the moment, certainly in away games, they're just not. And the dramatic drop-off between Manchester City, where we played really, really well and were very unfortunate to lose, to last night in the space of 9 days, is absolutely mind-blowing. And the players have to now spend the next few days looking at themselves. A lot of introspection is required, and a lot of motivation, and a lot of, you know, head scratching amongst the coaching staff. A very capable coaching staff there supporting Frank Lampard to go, how on earth can we make this team better, or at least more solid? Ben Godfrey might well be back for Sunday, and we need him. But he's not the man that's going to fix everything. Yeah, you mean he's not back for a month? He's not the man that's going to fix everything. It needs some sort of collective responsibility. Whether that will come from this group of players, I have no confidence in them whatsoever. But we shall see against Wolves on Sunday. Episode 91 will, all being well, be dropping in your inbox, in your ears on Monday at some point. Until next time, vent about Gordon Lee, not vent about Gordon Lee, memories of Gordon Lee will be much appreciated at NMTV Pod. Vent your spleen about what you've witnessed last night. NMTVpod@gmail.com on the email. This has been a top content production, and until the next time, come on you Blues.